And now for the biggest news of the week, Senator Lindsey Graham diving into Water's world for the very first time. I spoke with him earlier. Senator, have you played golf with the president recently?
Yes.
How's he doing?
He beats me. He's doing fine.
Okay.
He's a happy man.
Yeah, he seems happy, although Nancy Pelosi says he's got a rageaholic.
I'll go to Dr. Phil, not her, for her personality profiles.
So you have a pretty good relationship with the president now. Describe what that's like.
It's fun. He calls me on occasion to ask my opinion about what we should do with the world, and we play golf. It's about as good as it gets.
That's pretty good. Because it wasn't always good. Remember, he gave out your cell phone at one point during the campaign.
It really sucked for a long time.
He gave me his number, and I found the card. I wrote the number down. I don't know if it's the right number. Let's try it. 202.
Right after he got elected, he called me over and said, you know, we need to try to get along. I said, I'm all in. You beat me like a drum. He loved hearing that, by the way. And he says, you know, I don't have your number. And I said, there's a reason for that.
You're not going to make the same
all
mistake
good
twice.
Now. I think he's doing a good job.
The New Yorker had a little fun at your expense.
Yeah.
They have you shining the president's shoes there with Barr and McConnell. What do you think they're trying to say?
Well, number one, Trump does not tip. And I'm doing something right.
Oh, there it is.
If I get on the news, I'm doing something right.
So you're a rock star now. You're one of the most popular Republican senators. What do you attribute that to?
Sort of more Elvis in the latter years.
It's right, because recently, the last 2 years, your poll numbers in South Carolina up about 25%.
Well, the point is that President Trump won. I want him to be successful. I'm trying to help him where I can. Kavanaugh changed a lot of things for me. I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan, not because I would have chose them. I thought they were qualified. And I watched the destruction of somebody I've known for 20 years for just out-and-out character assassination. Brett Kavanaugh's a good man, not a bad man. And they hate Trump so much and all things Trump so much. It was a breaking point for me. I'm not going to put up with this crap anymore. I would never have done that to Sotomayor or Kagan. And I think I spoke for a lot of Republicans. And the president's rebuilding the military. Count me in for that. He's cut our taxes. The economy's humming. Our enemies are on notice. There's a new sheriff in town. So I just like what he does. Judges have been great, and I've got to know him personally. We still have some differences, but getting to play golf with him and understand who he is and why he ticks has been fun.
You said that was a breaking point for you in that Kavanaugh hearing. So that wasn't planned. That was spontaneous, that eruption?
This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. This is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap.
I never dreamed we would get to where we were talking about a guy's high school annual. You talk about, you know, how do you defend yourself against an accusation when they won't tell you when it happened and where it happened, and everybody named said, I don't know what you're talking about. It just frustrated me no end that all the rules went out the door because they wanted to hold the seat up after I had voted for their judges. And I know Brett, I know his family, and what he went through was sheer hell. And when Durbin basically said, why don't you want to extend this investigation? If you got nothing to hide, let's keep looking at you and your family. That was too much. That's the Soviet Union, not America. And I let him have it. And I think I spoke for a lot of people who thought they'd gone too far. And
then everybody on the left hated you and started screaming at you, and you became a meme. Remember, with your tie and looking behind you?
Yeah. Well, you know, so the mob took over.
Right.
This was mob rule.
Right.
You know, the rule of law is about dispassionate analysis and trying to apply law to facts. Susan Collins gave the best explanation of why a rational person would vote for Brett Kavanaugh. She did a wonderful job, and the mob tried to intimidate her. They tried to intimidate me, and it's not working. Why am I doing better in South Carolina? People who are conservative, and most are in South Carolina, see me genuinely trying to help the president and giving him advice, and sometimes saying, hey, let's reconsider this, like Syria. So it works both ways, and I enjoy my job. I've never had more fun during the Trump presidency. It is a great time to be alive.
Neither have I.
Isn't it fun?
I think Fox News has been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm literally having fun because he's doing things that other people wouldn't do that they should have done.
That's right. So we are now on the precipice of declassification.
Right.
What do you expect to see once all of this information is put out there in the public sphere?
A system totally out of control. people who are blowing through all the stop signs that normally are there to protect American citizens, an attitude that we want her to win, so therefore we can't charge her with a crime. How does she win if she gets charged with a crime? That's why she wasn't charged.
Right.
In terms of the counterintelligence investigation, you're going to learn in great detail that Papadopoulos had nothing to do with the Russians, but they went on anyway. You're going to find out that Carter Page is not James Bond, and that the dossier was a bunch of garbage, and they knew it was a bunch of garbage and did nothing to verify it. And the system was warned multiple times, don't trust Christopher Steele, and they went ahead anyway.
And you alluded to the fact that you might be holding Senate hearings. When can we expect to see those?
So there's three things. Barr is going to look at whether or not somebody broke the law. There's going to be a Mueller-like figure looking at what they did to the president. Horowitz, who's the Inspector General for the Department of Justice, is going to look at how internal policy was taken and thrown over and turned upside down. And what I will be doing is put the puzzle together to make sure it never happens again, to make sure that FISA courts are given better information, and if you don't, you pay a heavier price, to have some rules about how you open up a counterintelligence investigation against a presidential candidate. Take this out-of-control system and put some controls on it. That's my job.
Which individuals will you be calling to testify in front of your committee?
I think what I would do is start telling the story that you knew that Steele was out to get Trump, that he was not really a reliable confidential informant. Bruce Orr tells McCabe and others, this guy really is out to get Trump. Now you got an October exchange in the State Department where Steele comes before the election asking the State Department to get the dossier out into the media because he wants to beat Trump. They send that information to the FBI 10 days before they apply for a warrant, and none of this was told to the FISA court. The counterintelligence operation is pretty clear to me. They knew early on that Papadopoulos was not getting any assistance from the Russians. They tried to actually plant that idea in his head. So there's going to be a real deep dive into the counterintelligence investigation, the FISA warrant application, and what happened after the election. Was there a genuine effort to surveil the president as the sitting president? Was there an effort to invoke the 25th Amendment? I want to know.
Good. So Memorial Day weekend, and
Yes.
South Carolina guy, a lot of veterans down there.
Yes.
John Walker Lind, early release. He better not go to South Carolina, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Tell him, if they release him at home, he's in trouble. So this shows what happens when you use criminal law to fight a war. I've been saying for about since the day after 9/11, if you or I or anybody join the Taliban or Al-Qaeda or ISIS, we're becoming enemy combatants. Criminal law is designed to solve a crime. The law of war is designed to protect the nation. So when you capture an enemy person, you don't have to try them. You take them off the battlefield. You treat them humanely. You don't let them back out until they're no longer a threat. He was tried under criminal law, but if he was held as an enemy combatant, he could still be held as long as he's a threat.
Right.
Gitmo is full of people that have been there for decades. They'll never be tried in a criminal court, but they've had a hearing about whether or not they're a member of the enemy force and whether or not they're still dangerous. That's what should have happened to Johnny Walker Lind. You can have a criminal war crime trial, but after that, you evaluate, has this enemy prisoner, and he was part of the enemy force, is it safe to release him? If you don't use the law of war for people like him, you find yourself having to let them go when their sentence is served, and that's insane.
Well, hopefully you'll be drinking some Johnny Walker this Memorial Day weekend, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.